Well, as we know, the Federal Reserve believes it can create money out of thin air, not realize money is supposed to represent real products and services. And what people don't realize is when the Fed does that, in effect, as Keynes pointed out, it's a form of taxation. It's a form of confiscation. And because people don't see it, the politicos get away with it, but it also undermines social trust. It just is corrosive throughout society. We're going to have a lot of turmoil in the coming years, but it's going to be the kind of turmoil that leads to positive things. So don't despair. Get out there and fight, because the tide is going to turn. This is going to be the status last stand.
Thank you.
And so I sort of made it my mission to try and wake up the middle class, to let them know how the monetary system works, to let them know that there is a major economic calamity coming sometime down the road, and it's most likely within this decade that we're in right now.
The US dollar is about 60% of the value of all the currency on the planet, and more than half of the dollars reside outside the United States. The reason every country has US dollars is, first of all, that's what central banks use as a reserve currency. Second of all, oil is priced in dollars. So this is the world, and what you see here is that these are the countries that are avoiding the US dollar in trade. They're doing bilateral agreements where they'll either hold each other's currency and settle that way, or they're establishing, like right now, they're talking about a BRICS bank, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, having a bank that will do settlements between the countries directly without using the US dollar. These countries, they tried to avoid using the US dollar, like Iran tried, and we banned them from using SWIFT. How many here have made wire transfers before? So do you know what a SWIFT number is? It's a code that you plug in, and this SWIFT system is what transfers those dollars from one person's account to another person's account. Well, Iran decided that they were going to sell oil only in euros. They got banned from SWIFT. But there's countries right now coming up with a replacement for SWIFT, and it doesn't use the dollar. It's the Sukra system. And Iraq started selling oil for euros. In Libya, they were talking about creating the gold dinar and selling oil for gold. So those are the countries that are trying to use something other than the dollar. Then we've got gold competing with currency. And there's a lot of talk around here about the gold dinar, and there's people that are actually using gold in some of the countries over here. And then in Utah has recognized gold and silver as money again. It's legal tender currency in the state of Utah in the United States. And then you've got physical gold accumulation. I'll show you later that China is accumulating an immense amount of gold, but all the countries with an up arrow, that's gold accumulation. Then we have gold repatriation. Germany has been asking for their gold back, and they're getting it. Venezuela has repatriated their gold from the Bank of England. And then if we put this on a timeline, here's the nails in the coffin for the dollar standard, and you will see that there's not a lot of time left. This is my evidence that I think is proof that the death of the dollar is coming, and it's coming shortly. Nixon ended Bretton Woods, and we went on the dollar standard. Then the first nail in the coffin is Iraq sells oil in euros. The crisis of 2008, and we added 1.25 trillion to our base money in the United States. As we add to the base currency, people get worried about inflation. They start rushing toward gold and silver. Iran ends oil sales in dollars, and they're taking commodities in trade for oil. They're taking, in Turkey, they take the local currency and then buy gold in Turkey and export the gold to Iran. So they're basically selling oil for gold. They do the same thing with India. QE2, quantitative easing, that's more currency printing in the United States. Libya China and Russia bypassed the dollar. They did a bilateral trade agreement where they hold each other's currency and they do direct debt settlement without having to wire transfer US dollars. Chinese president just recently said that the dollar as the world's reserve currency is a product of the past. Utah recognized silver and gold as money. China and Iran bypassed the US dollar with a bilateral trade agreement. Venezuela repatriates its gold. China and Japan trade directly. India and Japan bypass the US dollar. Russia and Iran trade directly. Iran sells India oil for rupees and commodities. China and Brazil trade directly. Swiss citizens demand gold repatriation. African countries ban the dollar. In Zambia, you can go to jail if you use US dollars. Quantitative easing number 3. They have announced at the Federal Reserve that they're starting with $40 billion of currency that they're creating each month, and now it jumps to $85 billion. That's more than $1 trillion a year. And remember, it took 200 years to go from no dollars to 825 billion, and now they're going to create $1 trillion every year. Iran trading energy for gold. Singapore removes tax on money. Germany repatriates 150 tons of gold from the New York Fed. The citizens of Netherlands demand gold repatriation. Ecuador repatriates part of its gold reserves. Austrian citizens demanding gold repatriation. China acknowledges fundamental market shortage of gold. And now, the Fed is increasing the rate of printing. I said from 40 to 85 billion every month, just over $1 trillion per year. So those are the nails in the coffin for the dollar standard. And if you noticed, they're all speeding up and they're all happening right now. You don't have a whole lot of time. And if you wait too long, then the opportunity is gone.
It's going to fail. Why is the dollar sacrosanct? Why is it not going to happen to the US dollar? Well, it will. People think, oh no, it's high technology, or we have computers now, or the internet. These are ridiculous arguments. The truth is, all fiat currencies have failed, and there's no reason why this one won't. What worries me again so much is that it's a global situation. And so it's going to cause problems on a global basis. And it's a trust breaking down. And you're already seeing the trust breaking down, as I said earlier, because you're seeing different countries exchange directly with each other's currencies, circumventing the dollar. You're seeing that in oil. You're going to see it more and more, and people are just going to opt out of the dollar. And you'll probably get to a point before the whole thing collapses entirely where the dollar is more or less used internally in the United States and externally is not used as much, because there'll be a lot of agreements made between nation states outside of the United States that will want to use each other's currency and not the dollar.
This isn't going to be pretty when it happens. I am not an end-of-worlder or a doomsday guy. All you can do is play the hand that you are dealt. If we go to a new monetary system, and I think it's absolutely inevitable, there's just too much energy built up in this one that has to release. It has to come crashing down somehow. When that happens, there's an enormous wealth transfer for people that are on one side of the bet or another. And people don't realize that whether they think they are making a bet or not, they are making the bet. They are involved. This wealth transfer affects everybody, whether you want to participate or not. If you're holding paper assets and paper currencies, you have bet one direction. If you're holding gold and physical assets, you've bet the opposite direction.
So these are changes in Chinese holdings. They are accumulating gold. They are getting rid of US Treasury bonds. This is gold held in China. The green line is the cumulative gold. That's on this side, this scale. So it's gone from about 700 tons to almost 6,000 tons just since the year 2000. So this is their central bank holdings. This is their mine supply. But this is, and my researcher put all of this data together. You're the first people to see this. This is the amount of gold flowing through the Hong Kong exchange that goes into China. And the past couple of years here, they have ramped up their buying. They know that the dollar standard is coming to an end, and they are protecting themselves. And you're probably going to see gold-backed renminbi someday, the yuan. So this is an interesting chart. Changing global influence. So this is the correlation to this basket of currencies. This basket of currencies, if you add them all up, they're trading up or they're trading down. And this was pre-crisis, so it's before 2008. So this is from the International Monetary Fund. It's their data. So from 2005 to 2008, this is the correlation of, if that basket of currencies was trading up, the dollar was probably doing about the same thing is what it's saying. The Chinese renminbi, a little less so. And then this is today. The US dollar is done for.
I don't think there's any question we're heading for a new monetary system. The question is what will it consist of? The four choices are sort of a world of multiple reserve currencies. And Barry Eichengreen of Berkeley is the leading proponent of this, or leading scholar on this topic. The problem with that, and where I disagree with Eichengreen, is there's no anchor in that system. We did have multiple reserve currencies before in the 1920s. He's right about that, and it was sterling and the dollar, but they were both anchored to gold. And in the post-Bretton Woods world, since 1944, it's been one reserve currency, which is the anchor, and it was anchored to gold until 1971. Since then, the dollar has been detached from gold, but all the other currencies are still linked to the dollar. So at the end of the day, we've had an anchor of some kind. We've never had a world of multiple reserve currencies with no anchor. I'm not sure that's that stable. The SDR is the second choice. The SDR is a basket currency sponsored by the IMF. At least for the time being, it's also printed money. The IMF literally prints the SDRs and ships them out to the members, and their reserves go up, exactly the way the Fed creates money and bank reserves go up. But it's not backed by anything. Third choice is gold, some variation on the gold standard. And the fourth choice is what I call chaos, which is that nobody does anything. There's a lot of wishful thinking, there's a lot of denial, there's a lot of delay, and we get to the point where people just totally lose faith in paper currencies, go to hard assets, and we have a sequential collapse of paper currencies around the world, at which point governments will have to react with emergency measures. And that could include coercion, confiscation, various sorts of freezes on paper assets. It could be a lot of things in that scenario. So to me, it's multiple reserve currencies, SDRs, gold, or chaos. I favor gold, but I fear that we may get chaos.
With a gold standard, there's supposed to be a certain amount of gold in the vaults for each unit of currency. In other words, it's a 1-to-1 ratio is the way it started. And then they print more receipts than gold that exists. So if we have gold standards, we're going to get scammed again. If we used gold and silver, if the public gets educated enough before all of this happens, if we went back to gold and silver, then governments can't scam us. It limits their ability to transfer wealth from the population to the government and to the banks.
A lot of people say that you can't use gold and silver today because they're too heavy and bulky, and it's completely wrong. You could put gold and silver in a vault, and you could make payments to somebody by transferring ownership of nanograms, grams, or ounces of gold and silver from one person's account to another by means of a check, a credit card, or even your cell phone.
Hello, I'm going to introduce you to something that could change your life over the next 12 weeks. It's Karatbars International. Karatbars from Stuttgart in Germany is a very exciting opportunity where an individual can earn an incredible unlimited income which has massive credibility because the product is currency grade gold. You can register for free and get going for as little as £200. You can have a Karatbars business today. You can join straight from your home PC now if you like, and providing you're teachable, the steps to create a significant income are very simple to follow. And what's more, you can build this at home in your pajamas. In fact, if you live in a cave with a phone and a PC in your cave, your life can still be changed in the next 12 weeks. We have an ingenious plan that is centered around the movement of money, not the spending of money. Now that really excites me because nobody is spending money. Our plan involves you getting a free position, and then you buy a package. It doesn't matter which one you buy, but following our system in 12 weeks, you can earn a passive residual income of between £10,000 and £87,000 a month. That's right, a month, and nobody is spending money. Wow! I hope I have your attention, because it's not very often that such an opportunity comes along that carries such built-in credibility. Now be careful you don't get the wrong information here straight away. For some people, when they hear the product is gold, they switch their minds to the assumption that this is an investment program and therefore susceptible to gold prices going up and down. That is a wrong assumption. Let me explain what this is. Money in the form of paper banknotes used to have an equivalent amount of gold as a guarantee of that currency. Now in 1971, the American President Richard Nixon removed the link from gold underpinning the US dollar. Since then, the value of the US dollar and other currencies that followed suit has slowly declined. The basis of Karatbars is to exchange the unstable currency in your bank into currency grade gold in a very usable format. A single gram of pure 24 karat currency grade gold embedded into a card the size of a credit card. The card has its own built-in certification as 999.9 pure gold from the LBMA, that's the London Bullion Market Association. A Karatbar has great credibility. It isn't a product that could sit in your garage that you can't do anything with. It's gold. Karatbars come in affordable amounts with single gram cards. The cards can be purchased as gift cards also, some of which had added value due to the nature of their production. They're called Karatbar collector cards and are occasionally offered with limited edition to add value. You can set up a regular program to slowly convert your unsafe savings into gold. The Karatbars can be stored for you free of charge in Germany, or you can keep them, or you can have them put into your own secure location. Now, it's a big mistake to compare the daily price of gold with currencies unless you are a day-to-day professional trader. This is nothing to do with what we're doing with Karatbars. Now, here's a fact. Gold today buys the same amount of bread as it did 5,000 years ago. It's honest and probably, if not one of the best and most stable place for your money over the long term. The key word here is gold buys the same. Currency, however, which is not linked to a gold standard, historically reduces to its true value, which is zero, the cost of the paper it's printed on. Gold has history, a very good history, and swapping a percentage of your savings from currency to gold is historically a good thing to do. Gold is honest and in the long term safe. Now, if there ever was a global financial...
This is BBC Television from London. Normal programming has been suspended.
We are in the midst of a serious financial crisis, and the federal government is responding with decisive action. We boosted confidence in money market.
The US dollar will soon become worthless, and Americans will see the purchasing power of their savings and income destroyed.
The biggest fiscal stimulus we have ever seen.
And that'll solve
Now, if there ever was a global financial crisis, what would you rather have saved up? Would you rather have US dollars? Would you rather have British pounds? Would you rather have the euro? Would you rather have the Swiss franc? Would you rather have the Japanese yen? Or would you rather have, in a global financial crisis, gold? Now, if there was a global financial crisis and you had gold bars, you could hardly go to the shop and exchange for goods and services with a gold bar that's worth hundreds of thousands. However, with smaller quantities of gold you can, and that's what you get with Karatbars. 1 gram of pure gold per card with its own built-in certification from the LBMA. It's stable, it's safe, it's certified, and it's practical. Now, doesn't it make sense to convert some savings into inflation-proof gold? Can you understand now that Karatbars has made currency-grade gold available to the masses in certified units of 1 gram each? Karatbars makes perfect sense to me just as a user of the product. It's gold, it's so safe. I'm sure some of you have been in business opportunities where you've ended up with a garage full of products with rapidly advancing sell-by dates, or worse, an attic full of items that are now useless. That can never happen with Carrot Bars. Why? Because the product is gold, not just any old gold, currency grade pure gold, the type governments settle debts with. It has massive credibility and it can never burn your fingers.
Carrot Bars are accepted and recognized as currency all over the world. This creates enormous potential for you.
Here's what you do. Sign up into the business of Carrot Bars International today. Set up a regular purchase of Carrot Bars from as little as €50 a month. Then join the free training program so that you can learn from home how to be financially free. That's it. That's all you do. When people see the Carrot Bars, the most frequent question is, how do I get one? It's virtually impossible to keep this opportunity to yourself because it is so genuinely exciting and because it's so safe. And also you know that gold is going to be around for longer than all of us. So you know your time spent in this business isn't going to be wasted time. It's one of the simplest, safest, honest and most profitable businesses we've ever seen. And you choose the time frame, 12 weeks or 2 to 5 years, it's up to you. But here we have a proven training system that can change your life. Thanks for listening.